A very good evening and thanks for clicking on to the 9th edition of Vogan's Global Weather and Climate Report, looking at the 2-minute temperature anomalies across the world for the course of today, and 0.3 Celsius above normal globally, 0.7 above normal in the northern hemisphere, exactly average in the southern hemisphere, 1.2 Celsius above within the Arctic, -1 in the Antarctic, and 0.3 Celsius above normal within the tropics. So plenty of warmth around. There is cool pockets, but the warmth is by far outweighing the cool. Notice Alaska, it continues to be below normal. It's been a fairly cold summer actually up across Alaska, which is quite interesting. The central portion of the United States and Canada warmer than normal. The Arctic of Canada has been notably warm compared to normal recently. Of course, the UK is below normal, and it was just a week ago yesterday that we've seen the temperature hit 40 Celsius in the British Isles. Really, since that, the temperatures have come down. We did have a brief surge of 30s once again on Sunday afternoon across the southeast half of the country, but generally speaking, the temperature has come down. We've also seen the reintroducing of Atlantic weather once again. Also, Scandinavia has been interestingly cool compared to normal. We've had quite the kind of low to the north, high to the south kind of scenario in recent times. Plenty of warmth across western Russia, central Russia, seeing that cool kind of shrinking and weakening, so to speak here. Very warm, if you notice here, across the far north of Russia and Asia, of course. So you notice here there is more warmth on the chart, especially across parts of Asia, than has been the case. Warmer than normal across Africa, South Africa, much of South America as well. Interesting how the amount of cool, the persistence in that cool over the equatorial portion of Africa has been interesting, and I want to draw your attention actually to the cool that's been affecting parts of the lower Arabian Peninsula through South Iran, Pakistan, northwest India, and that has been quite persistent recently, and I think a lot of that could be to do with the cooling of the western portion of the Indian Ocean, the warming of the eastern Indian Ocean. So a very strong negative Indian Ocean dipole is definitely developing, and that is certainly worth keeping an eye on as we go towards the autumn and winter season in terms of the winter pattern generally, because the Indian Ocean dipole, whether it be warm in the west and cool in the east, or cool in the east west and warm in the east like we've got at the moment, can have influences on the global pattern. And like I say, we will keep an eye on that as we go forward here. But certainly looking at the Middle East in particular, now average temperatures 40 to 44 Celsius at this time of the year, hottest time of the year in the hottest part of the world. But it's been interesting how temperatures have been persistently below normal here for a good, I would reckon, a good month now. We've not been seeing temperatures, headlines breaking with regards to heat in, Iraq, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Oman, or, places like that typically in recent times has been seeing, records falling 52, 54 Celsius. But actually, it's interesting how temperatures have been struggling in this hottest part of the world to even reach 30 Celsius. But you notice here that we don't see that. We're not seeing that in the mainstream media. We just see the focus of heat all the time. But folks, this is a big story. Temperatures that are a good, 12 to 15 Celsius below normal in the hottest part of the world. And yet, it just does not get looked at. And that is the frustrating thing. And I think it's very, very important that we look at the overall picture. There is a lot of warmth around, yes, but when you look at this here, Oman and the Eastern United Arab Emirates, again, a tweet by Extreme Temperatures Around the World, Maximiliano Herrera just does a terrific job every single day, produces these tweets talking about all the global temperature records that are falling here and there. Talks about heat, but also talks about cool as well. But it's interesting here at 2:45 p.m. local time, Al Ain, I think that is how it's pronounced, is a temperature of 28.8 Celsius recorded at the typically the temperature should be 44.8 Celsius. That is bonkers, folks. That is bonkers. That almost, to me, is as crazy as saying 40 Celsius. Yeah, people probably jump on that and say, "Oh, you're jumping the gun there." But it's not even 30 Celsius, and so the average temperature 28.8 Celsius. That's the temperature. Sorry, and 44.8 Celsius is the average. That is crazy stuff. Rain tomorrow. We could see rain extend further west and north to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Very, very rare for July. Why are we not seeing this stuff? That's the frustrating thing when it comes to the famous climate change stuff. Like I say, I respect people who believe that carbon dioxide is warming the world. I'm very much a kind of sit in the fence type of person, but it's interesting. This is global stuff. This is important stuff. This is interesting stuff. What's going on at the moment here. This is the month of July so far. Firmly warmer than normal for most of the UK and Ireland. If you notice here, northwestern portions of Scotland, or really down the west coast of Scotland, in fact, is average, it looks like. But the focus, eastern Scotland and pretty much all of England and Wales, you can't get away from the fact that it's been a warm month. And then, of course, Iberia, France, Low Countries, Germany, Alpine region, Italy. Yeah, it's been a warm July. It's been a warm summer. And that has been what I've had forecasted since the beginning here. Let's have a look at July overall globally. And it has been a warm July as well. One of the warmest on record in the satellite era anyway. But plenty of cool across parts of the heart of Russia, for example. There we go. India, Pakistan, the southern portion of the Arabian Peninsula. A good part of Central and North Africa is below normal. More or less all of Australia, with the exceptions of West Australia, parts of East Australia. But that is a large-scale area of cool. Big divide in Antarctica, east versus west. If you notice here, much of North America, interestingly enough, we're starting to see a turnaround. Look at Alaska, that's actually quite an interesting one. This kind of slightly surprised me, if I'm being honest. No surprise here, the Canadian archipelago well above normal temperature-wise. It's been a warm summer up there. Eastern portions of Canada, you notice it's been cool. But the United States starting to turn around a wee bit. So the first 6 months of the year, well below normal. I think it's been the coolest since, 2004, I think, overall. I'm pretty sure that's the last time we've seen a global average temperature below normal, actually. It was November 2004. It's a long time ago, actually, since we've seen that taking place here. But I want to also draw attention to what's going on in the UK. So this was the temperatures yesterday, by the way. This is a tweet off the Met Office. Quite interesting that temperatures yesterday afternoon 16 to 18 Celsius. Big difference to last week. 35 in eastern Scotland, 27 Northern Ireland, 40 of course across parts of England. Quite a large area extending from London all the way up to Yorkshire. We've seen 40 Celsius. But we've seen an interesting tweet, not surprisingly, that England and Wales is seeing its driest first half to a year since 1976. And I want to talk more about this actually in the coming weeks and months with regards to La Nina, the low solar. I believe that is a big contributing factor as to why it's been so dry. Northwest hasn't been too bad, but certainly, of course, the bulk of England and Wales, especially down towards the southeast, bone dry. I was driving around through Suffolk, Cambridgeshire a couple of days ago, and the ground is just scorched. Of course, with the heat, but also the lack of rainfall as well. And of course, lack of rainfall breeds heat, heat breeds drought. So it's been a back and forth feedback between land and atmosphere, of course. But it's very interesting, actually. So, it's interesting how 1976, however, a bit of a difference. So 1976 was drier than what it is in 2022. So I want to draw that comparison. Also, El Nino, also the solar maximum, we're seeing wetter conditions coming, around that period here. So, in my opinion, watch this space. El Nino is just around the corner. Solar maximum is just around the corner. So, this dry spell at the moment may be concerned for farmers, but it will come back, and it will come back, and we could see summers such as 2007, 2012 coming back into the equation once again. But it is certainly interesting. 3 years of La Nina, 3 years of drier than normal conditions as a result of that. And the upper air pattern here for the first 6 months of the year as well is quite interesting here. High pressure has been very much the dominant player here. A tweet by Simon Cardy shows the upper air pattern across the British Isles and Europe. In fact, high pressure was so dominant. Of course, it was such a warm winter, wasn't it, across the British Isles and across more or less all of Europe. I think it was it not the warmest winter on record? I could be wrong actually with that. But yeah, I think it might have been actually. You can see why. So it was basically almost like a summary ridge of high pressure covering the southwest of Europe, including the British Isles, at a time of the year that it should have been pretty much the opposite overall. Interesting stuff, I would say. I think I've covered everything. I'm trying to see. I'm starting to wilt. It's been a long day. It is a late video today, so I do apologise for that. But I should hopefully be back in the next couple of days with more. A lot of things going on at the moment, both with work and also in my home life as well. Good things, I may add, so there's nothing wrong. But I think it's time to cut. So probably will have forgotten about something that I was wanting to speak about once I've published the video, but that happens. I can always say it another time. But anyway, I hope everybody is keeping well. Please drop a comment, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I will hopefully be back again tomorrow with more. Have a great evening. Bye for now.